What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Speaking Sessions podcast. I've got Donnie Boivin here. He is the CEO and Success Champion Networking and a founder of the Badass Business Summit. As a top podcaster and 5-time best-selling author, he established a B2B networking groups across North America, creating a support system for hundreds of members. SCN is a thriving B2B business community dedicated to providing essential support, education, and a vibrant community for its members' success. And today, we're going to be talking about that a little bit, but we're also going to be talking about Donnie's speaking journey, event planning journey, and so much more. We were talking offline about the bad things that nobody wants to talk about as a speaker, as an event planner, and we're going to go through that. So it will help you not make those same mistakes that we made. But Donnie, welcome to the show.
Hey, Philip, man. It's already been fun hanging out with you. We know we've got some network acquaintances in common, so I think we're going to have a good time laughing, joking, making fun of ourselves and some of the stupid things we've done along the way. So this should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we just talked about Doug Mitchell, an amazing guy. And
dude.
We poked at him, but he had an amazing event, his first event, actually making money on it, which you don't hear about that. And so I'd love for us to kind of start there. I know that's not the beginning of your journey,
for sure,
but let's get that out of the way right away with events that typically your first one, you don't make money on.
I'll even be more transparent on that. We're year 5 of the Badass Business Summit, and this is the first year we'll turn a profit. It comes down to people just don't know all that has to happen behind the scenes for an event to actually be successful. So it's way more than coming up with a concept, a theme, then deciding, what speakers need to be there. Right, that's only portion of it. Then you got to sell tickets. You got to get the venue. You've got to get all the video, audio, all the different moving parts. Are you bringing in food? If you're not, they're all going to yell at you. Right, you're going to bring in drinks. If not, they're all going to yell at you. Right, it's dealing with the personalities of all the different speakers, and some are more high maintenance than others. It's all the things have to come together almost like an orchestra and play a damn good song to make this all work. And it doesn't matter what you plan for. This is the universe in effect full thing. Something's going to blow up game day. And where you're supposed to be the person running your own event, you're going to find yourself putting out fires and the likes because people come to you versus your team that's maybe designated to do those things. So it's a lot of things, to really make these successful that people don't see if they're only the person standing on the stage.
Yeah, or even in the audience as well. You think, oh, this is awesome, this amazing event. This all just kind of came together.
Yeah.
And that is not the case at all. But man, there's so many things we could talk about here, but I want to talk about the diva speakers. As a speaking coach and as a speaker myself, and you mentioned, hey, you've been there as well, and I've been there too, and I've seen speakers that think that, hey, I'm the gift to this stage. I'm the gift to the audience. I'm the gift to that event host. But they're, I don't want to say they're not speakers. Obviously, you need to have good speakers there, but they should be more than speakers, especially if they want to get invited back to stage. So share with us a funny story that you've had.
I'll give you two. Last year, I had a speaker, and I, of course, won't drop their name. When we sent out the collateral and stuff for them to promote, they're going to be on the stage. This person looked at me and said, well, why would I promote you? You need me. I don't need you to be on. So, we gave them their walking papers and said, well, I don't need you that bad. Right. But they had their whole thought process. And I want to talk a little bit about where that thought process comes from was we needed them to be on the stage because we needed their brand, their clout and everything else. The second one was a gal that I brought in to speak at another event. We had really propped her up, had a lot of people there, and her speech consisted of this. I know you all showed up for me today, and I'm really glad you came to see me today because I'm going to really teach you everything that's made me me. So thank you for being here for me today because I know the things that I'm going to say are the things you're specifically here to listen and learn from me. I mean, everything, the whole speech, 45 minutes was done with her saying, I know you're here to see me.
Wow.
and all I can think in the back of my head, because I'm standing in the back of the room, is freaking teach them something. Shut up about you, right?
Mm.
But there are a lot of self-centered speakers, but it comes from. Well, I'll speak for myself. Early on, it came from an ego. I thought stages needed me. I thought podcasts needed me. They needed my brand, my clout, and the things I've done. And, so why would I promote them? Right. My brand, my people are coming to their world. And the truth is, your brand, your people aren't coming along for the ride. Right. They're not looking for all the summits you're speaking at. Most of your people have heard your story. They know what you do. They know what you teach. So they're not always going to follow you around to different events and venues. So it took me hosting my own events to realize that I need to go out of my way. These people are honoring me with a chance to go speak on their stage. I need to let as many people know that these people saw something in my brand, my message, the way I speak, and the likes, that I need to promote the hell out of them, because it's an honor for me to go speak on their stage, not an honor for them to reach out to me and say, "Hey, I need you on my stage."
Mm. So true, man. Too many speakers do get it that wrong way, and I've been guilty of that as well. Like, oh, cool, look at me, I'm great, I'm special. That's why I'm here on this stage. They need me because they need my message, and you are exactly right. But then that flip side to this as well is when you are setting up that stage, you think you're going to have all these people that follow you, that know you, that are going to support you, and in word, they'll support you. Oh, that's so awesome! You're doing that event. You're building your own stage. You're going out there and speaking. It's great. Well, hey, we pay for a ticket to come to my event, 10
Right.
bucks. Oh, something comes up, or it's $1,000. It doesn't matter what the price is. A lot of the people that you have in your network that you think that, hey, they're going to support you, end up not supporting you
Yeah.
for an event, which is just mind blowing. And so before we kind of get down that route, because I want to talk about the value in networking there, you mentioned about you're coming out in your fifth year and you're finally going to make money, unless there's some craziness happens like
Right.
COVID 2.0 or something, where then you just lose money, which let's hope that doesn't happen. I'm going to knock on wood here real
Right.
quick so that doesn't happen. But you're finally making money on this. And first of all, people think we're crazy when we want to go to an event, let alone create our own event, let alone spend 5 years not making money when this isn't your full-time job.
No.
You've got your own business doing stuff, so you have to do that. You've got the family, but you're also creating this whole event thing on the side and spending 4 years of making no money, really losing money, to finally start making money. So talk to us through this mindset of what made you decide to continue to do this even though you're not making money from the event.
Well, and let's add a little craziness to it. I run a full working farm on top of this too. So we have a dwarf Nigerian goat farm on top of all of this that we're maintaining on the fold too.
That's normal stuff. I don't know what you're talking about, Donnie. Like everybody's got to go, dwarf Nigerian goat farm. I can't even say it right.
So, I mean, the original summit came around out of a stupid story. I was doing a live on Facebook, and there was a group of people watching the live and talking back and forth. And somebody piped up and said, "Hey, I've got a speaking engagement for you down in San Antonio, Texas." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." Well, a lot of people watching were like, "Oh, we want to see you speak. So we'll come down to San Antonio. We'll see you speak," which led to somebody going, "Well, if we're all going down to San Antonio, you should, maybe rent out a room and just do something for all of us since we're all coming down." I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. San Antonio's 3 hours from me. I'm not driving down to freaking San Antonio to buy a hotel room, right, and do something for all you guys. If we're going to do something, we're going to do it up in Fort Worth, Texas, where I'm from. And somebody jokingly in the comments said, "Ooh, we should call it DonnieCon." And I said, "No, no, no, no. We are not calling this DonnieCon." Then somebody else threw out there, call it the Badass Business Summit. And that's really how it all came about, was a lot of people wanted to get together. And my goal for all the Badass Business Summits is literally to help people grow their businesses. We spend a lot of time focusing on personal brand because I think it plays a huge part in today's society. Influence and having a following of people does a lot of things in this day and age. But the first year we rented out a convention center. We had spent a lot of money, and 2 weeks before the event, COVID broke out.
Wow.
It was April of 20 is when we were slotted to do the first Badass Business Summit. Um, of course, we couldn't do it. We postponed till September of that year, and we did it in September. Did all the freaking spacing and all the stuff there. But yeah, we went into it and we lost our ass. Year one. We didn't know what the heck we were doing, and as you and I were talking beforehand, I joked about we had that year we did trade shows, and so we had sold like 20 trade show booths, and we had 75, almost 100 people in attendance, and everybody was in attendance had a trade show booth. So literally they would go from the convention to sit out at the trade show booth, but there was nobody to walk the booths other than the vendors because that's only people that were attending. So we went from there. We moved it to a hotel, learned the rough lesson of working with hotels, and the surprise nickel and diming that happens on little things you're not aware of and the likes.
Oh, you want that electrical outlet? That's gonna charge.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you want
dude.
another, Ethernet port? That's a charge.
Yeah. You want a curtain or something here? Even though we have one in the closet right next door, that's a charge, right? Everything. But it was year two that I was standing on the stage and the hotel managers at the back of the room glaring at me because I owe them $40,000, and I didn't have it. So I'm sitting there thinking, God, I'm about to lose everything, owing these guys $40,000, and I don't have the money. So luckily we sold some packages and some deals at the event. And then I worked out a payment agreement with them. But here I am delivering damn near a keynote, and they're just glaring at me knowing I owe them $40,000.
Wow. I mean, you're trying to talk about business success too, and yet here I am, $40,000 in the hole from this event alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, people don't understand the stress and pressure it takes to really put on one of these, very successfully. But this year we're year 5 in, and luckily my brother really stepped up. He's got a huge sales background, and he said, "Hey, let me take on sponsorships." And he brought in a couple of sponsors that underwrote the whole event for us this year. So we stand to actually turn a really decent profit. And one of the smartest things that we did is I partnered up and I brought in a LinkedIn panel of some of the top influencers on LinkedIn and really prop them up. But these were amazing, influencers that started really touting the summit to where, especially the last couple of weeks, there's been a huge buzz on LinkedIn of who the hell is Donnie Boivin? What the hell is a Badass Business Summit? And we've sold a lot of tickets here at the last rush of all this. So micro influencers really work. But yeah, 5 years to turn a profit with this damn thing.
Wow. Yeah, and you kind of hinted at it there at the end, was the sponsorship was a big thing there, and there's definitely different avenues in order to create money with these events. And it's funny, I made a post here, I think yesterday actually, about this as recording this, about how do you feel about being like paying to speak on somebody's stage? And that seems to be the way that people are trying to make money on events now, is rather than paying speakers to come speak on their stage or having speakers come speak for free and selling tickets, they're selling speakers to pay them to be on their stage. And there's definitely things with that. Like if I was able to go speak with some of the greats like Ed Milet and Tony Robbins and you name it, these big celebrities, I would probably be willing to do that. Or let's say Grant Cardone is 10X growth cons that are massive and he's got tons of people there that would be great clients for me. I'd be willing to pay that money. But if it's just Joe Schmo's business event over here that he's got no following or anything, I'm not going to pay 5 to 10 grand or 20, 40 grand. I've heard crazy prices to go speak on a stage for 30 minutes to an hour. I'm not going to pay that for that because that doesn't make sense business wise. But then you got people that are like, I wouldn't pay to be a speaker. You need to pay me as a speaker, which I think they haven't been doing events like this, so they don't understand that side, that business side to it. But what are some things? I mean, I would love your thoughts on that too. Yeah. But in addition, what are ways, if we're creating events, that we can make money or start to try and recuperate some of the money from the expenses that events cost us?
Yeah, 100%. I'll try and grab all that. And we've dealt with the speakers that are like, dude, why would I come speak for free? You need to pay me to come be on your stage. No. When you have a brand big enough that I can put your name on a billboard and thousands of people move, right? then I would consider paying you to be on my stage. But if you don't have that clout, then it's not happening. Paying to be on stage, you better have something to sell. And you better be able to make some sort of pitch from stage. So I've paid to be on stages, and it's paid off. But right audience, right offer, right package, you know. But if you're paying to be on somebody's stages, like I've heard nightmares of people paying, $500 to $1,000 to be on somebody's stage, and they show up and there's 3 people in the audience, and they're not getting their money back from it. So you got to make sure there's an ROI on paying, and you better make sure you have a damn good offer that you're going to be able to put out there to not only pay to speak, pay for your flight, your hotel room, your food while you're there, and all the likes, But making money from stage or from creating your own stage is your biggest expense is going to be the venue. So being able to find venues, and sorry hotels, but y'all suck. Doing business, and we do a 3-day event, so doing hotels just makes it more convenient for people to get rooms and stuff. But man, they do not cater to people doing events in their venues most times. They just don't care. So we've really struggled that, to the point of we're going to eventually build our own conference center of some sort, that we can house and control everything in. So that's how frustrating it gets. But getting a venue, and I would tell people, actually, even for the venue, smaller is better. Don't try and fill freaking Cowboy Stadium out the gate. Freaking 20 to 50 intimate, tiny, event venues are the best way to go. Smaller if you can. And if you can get to where you can fit into a buddy's boardroom or some place that you can get dirt cheap, do it. Because half the success of running a event is learning how to run an event, make it successful, make it seamless. Two, price it right. We way underpriced our tickets the first couple of years. And even though we sold a lot of tickets, we still weren't making any damn money because we were damn near giving the tickets away. So you got to think, just remember, people see value in cost. If it's, $50, that's a perceived value. If it's $500, that's a perceived value. If it's $5,000, that's a perceived value. So you have to price it to make sure you're attracting the right perceived value in the audience. But ultimately, sponsorships has been our greatest win, for all this. And so you just got to really think about who needs this audience. So what we did this year is we said, okay, we get, small business owners that are corporate escapees, 3 to 5 years in the business. They're running telecoms, MSPs. They have 5 to 7 employees. That's really kind of our sweet spot of people. Who needs that? So it was the wealth management firms. It was, the promotional companies. It was the printing companies. It was the business coaching consulting companies. And we just started looking at seeing, okay, who else is sponsoring other events and activities and that have our same audience, and we started talking to them. But those are the big ways we've found to make money in all these.
Nice. I appreciate you sharing that, and a lot of that sounded like the network that you had. You already kind of you looked around other events, obviously, but then you I'm sure you reached out to your network, and I know as well as you that networking is crucial when it really comes to anything, business, life, whatever, but especially when it comes to getting on stages, filling your events up, and everything. And I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but doing my first event, I thought, oh man, I've got this great network of people. They were mainly online. And then I realized after my event, okay, I need to do more in-person networking, not just online, because those online friends didn't translate into in-person event attendees for me. But networking is so important. And so I'd love to hear more about your B2B networking that you have started up and how that's really helped you with business, with your events, with speaking, all of that. Would love to hear just kind of the evolution of that group and what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. I was at a conference once upon a time, and there was a panel of event planners, and their sole focus was to teach you how to get on stages. And their responses were really generic in nature. They're like, make a speaker one sheet and email this off and everything and all this really generic stuff. And I get pissed, right? Sit in the middle of this auditorium, 400 people, and they're giving generic answers, stuff you can just simply Google. And so me being the quiet guy that I am, stood up in the middle of the conference and said, all right, guys, what the F? We're all sitting here trying to figure out how to get on stages, and you're throwing up things I can Google right now that aren't working for most people. They're not getting them on stage. How the hell do we actually get on your stages? And one of the guys, the panelists, I guess I really pissed him off when I said this because I'm standing up in the middle of the crowd. He looks at me and goes, look, MFer, if I don't know you, you're never getting on my stage. And from that moment on, it told me that networking is 100, or excuse me, getting on stages is 100% networking.
Mm.
Right. You're not going to get on somebody's stage that's never heard of you. I don't care how many audition tapes and things and the like, if somebody's not bringing your name up. So for us, building the B2B networking groups, one, we didn't realize how much of a gap in the marketplace there was. But if you sell MSP services, telecom services, cybersecurity, you sell commercial insurance, you sell bookkeeping services and the like, most networking won't work for you because you're selling to people, you're in rooms with people that are all B2C. And if you sell, I don't know, commercial printing and your average deal is $50,000 and you walk into a room with realtors, title, mortgage, and the like, all great people, they're not talking to decision makers of companies that can do deals that large. So we created B2B groups to bring people who are going after larger business together. What we've found is there was a huge gap there. And because of building out this network, not only has it led to a ridiculous amount of speaking opportunities for me and podcast interviews and the likes, that most of our sponsors came out of our ranks of people who need to see, exposure on this level and need to get to people on this level and are dealing with people, on this level. And when you create the right network of people that are all going after a typical ideal end client, clients that are multiple years in business, doing millions of dollars in revenue and the likes. When you bring all those people together, amazing things, amazing opportunities. So not only because we have the Badass Business Summit, but we created the Champion Summit, which is a small 50, 60 per person event that we take around the US. And we're working on trying to take it up to Canada next. But literally that came from the network. All of the people in our chapters throughout North and South America were like, hey, we want to do something, in our area, in our neck of the woods. So now we go into an area with the Champion Summit and we'll take 3 to 4 of the members of one of our chapters. They become the speakers. I typically come in and keynote the whole thing. And now they get to build their brand locally in their area. They get to say the CEO is coming in to talk, which is fun for me. And we get them a ton of really cool exposure. And we also get a bunch of sponsors that are local in the marketplace that need this audience. So we're completely leveraging the network to reach more people with our thoughts, but also to building their clout and brand. So everything's a network effect in business, period.
Yeah. Oh man, I couldn't agree with you more on that. Networking is so important. And ironically, actually, through LinkedIn, I connected with a student at Clemson University, and we were just having a conversation. We got on a call one day, and him being a student at a university, I'm like, hey, who knows what's going to come out of this? Well, that was probably about 3 or 4 months ago. Next month, he just hit me up probably about a month ago about this, and he wants me to come speak to a group of student ambassadors there
Yep.
at Clemson University, all because we had a connection. And too often, a lot of people, especially when they're first starting in networking, they think, oh, if this person can't buy from me, or this person doesn't happen to know the person that I need to buy from me, that they're not worth actually connecting with and actually networking. And there are levels to it. Obviously, if you're the CEO of Google, you're not just going to go and connect with every single person out there just cuz. But especially when you're first starting out, I mean, you really got to be grinding and networking with anybody you can, because they most likely know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody that can get you that connection for the stage or for business or whatever it is. So networking is so important. And
Yeah.
that's really awesome that you're doing that. Very unique approach to doing those local events. and everything.
Thanks, dude. And I had a very similar effect with it was Texas A&M, but same thing. Student had followed me on LinkedIn, reached out, and about a month and a half ago, I just did a thing, and I thought it was all A&M students that I was doing
Mm.
it for, and it was a ages from 10 years to 18 years
Oh,
that were
wow.
all on their various journey. The 10-year-old had already started his own business
Wow.
and was doing it was blown away. And they brought me in to talk about networking. So now I had to come up with how do you teach somebody networking that has never even heard of the word networking? You
Wow.
know, so it was a real twist on trying to teach all the things that I typically teach. But man, it was so cool. But it all came because same thing. Like I recently did a national sales training for a large Fortune 500 company, and I won't drop their name 'cause I'm not trying to do that, but, they were following me for 6 months on LinkedIn and just liked my content. They eventually connected, sent me a DM and said, "Hey, would you like to come speak to our sales team?" And I was blown away because I wasn't expecting to go speak into Fortune 500s.
Mm.
And, they brought me in, then led me to their national accounts and the likes, but it all came from, posting on LinkedIn, networking on LinkedIn, just, showing up and being in the right place at the right time because you're consistently doing the right things.
Yeah, I mean, so true. I definitely have had opportunities as myself, not to the level or things that you're talking about there, but I've had opportunities with companies to be able to talk with the CEOs and other like VPs and higher up people because of posting on LinkedIn, because of just networking with somebody that's quote unquote on the lower level. They're not the executive and everything like that, but just through that networking, getting to know people, being genuine about it, and really caring about them, being able to then end up getting that opportunity. So it's, yeah, you just never know who you're going to meet that knows the right person and everything. And it just goes back to we should treat people the way we want to be treated. We should treat people with kindness and just, show consideration and respect for anybody, no matter who they are, for sure.
100%. And
Yeah.
for most people, they should be practicing the 3-foot rule. And the 3-foot rule is literally, I don't care where you are, you should turn and introduce yourself because you never know who the heck you're going to meet. And, I ask people all the time, I'm like, your kids play sports? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what do all the other parents do for a living? And they'll look at you like you got two heads. People don't think outside of business and the likes about talking about what they do and their careers and the likes. It's all, we're leaving that over here in this section, right? This is at home version of me. And I'm like, man, especially if you're running a business, there's no work-life balance here. This is all,
No.
it's all integrated, man. So every conversation, everything is got to be centered around improving your life, improving your business, improving your network. So, if you're through within 3 foot of somebody, say hi, and you'll be
Yeah.
blown away with what will happen from it.
I like that, the 3 foot rule. So if people are interested in your B2B networking group, where can they go to find more information and see if there's something in their local area?
Yeah, so they can go to successchampionnetworking.com. The groups are actually virtual, so we have national chapters as well. So if they want to network, just got to be B2B focused and not,
Okay.
so if you sell into companies and you're selling, like group type packages and the like, that's who we're targeting in there for those. So, but yeah, successchampionnetworking.com. They can go visit any of the chapters for free. And then if they want to become a member, they can submit an application. It's really cheap. It's $67 a month or $670 for the year. So really inexpensive to get a part of. But we've literally changed how the world networks, especially for the B2B game. So if they're tired of traditional networking, come hang out with us and just let's show you a lot better way to network.
Nice. I like it. Now let's take a step back into your speaking journey. I want to hear about your speaking journey. It sounds like it's been pretty smooth sailing. You've gotten all these big
No.
stages, been paid the big bucks and all of that. And then let's tie in how this has actually helped your personal brand. We talked about that a little bit as
Yep.
well, but I really wanted to take us back to day one. Donnie decided, he wanted to become a speaker. What did that look like, and how has this journey been so far?
Well, that's cool because I get to share kind of the dark side of business. So I turned 40
There is
before
no
I even.
dark side. I don't know what you're talking about, Donnie.
Yeah, it's
Everything's
all
just great.
sunshine and rainbows.
We're all millionaires. We say we're a business owner. We apply for the LLC. We got $1 million.
Absolutely, absolutely. And here, if you buy now, here's my 7-day program. You can do it too.
$9.97.
So, I turned 40 before I even knew that I could start my own business, right? I'm just a blue collar kid. You work, you get a job and retire. But I turned 40, heard guys like Gary Vee, Tim Ferriss, Jensen Cheryl, all these people talking about being an entrepreneur. So I launched my company, and within 24 hours, I was slapped with a non-compete that I don't think I ever signed. I think they fabricated the damn thing. I lawyered up, they lawyered up. Long story short, I lost. So I went into starting my company, and I was planning on launching a sales training corporation, and I couldn't. So because of that, my second alternative was, okay, I'm going to go be a public speaker, and that's going to be my thing. Maybe a motivational speaker, maybe I'll speak on sales, but I'll figure out some way to do public speaking. And I got a real rude awakening as I really started on, because I realized in Fort Worth, Texas, a lot of people knew who I was. But outside of Fort Worth, Texas, not a damn soul knew the name Donnie Boivin, no the name Success Champions. Like, nobody knew who the hell I was. I mean, so literally nobody was giving me a shot. I could get the local Rotaries, right, which were free speaking opportunities, but nothing paid, nothing traveled, nothing overseas, nothing anywhere. So I was going broke extremely fast. So like my first year of business, I became a business whore. And what I mean by that is I tried to sell everything I freaking could to turn a buck. I was doing website development, content packages, video editing. We had a magazine. I mean, literally everything I could try and do to make a few dollars come in. But it wasn't till I had a successful podcast where I was interviewing people like Shailene Johnson, Patrick Bet-David, and some of the big Mike McCallowich and some of the cool names out there, that somebody actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have a podcast convention down in Florida. We'll have 400 people that are run podcasts or trying to get on podcasts. Would you want to come down?" And my second time really on stage is I got paid $25,000 to come down and speak at a podcaster thing in Florida. And it was complete fluke. I mean, I had a podcast that looked a hell of a lot bigger than it was, and so I wasn't going to tell them otherwise. And it was funny because at that time I was still wearing, I was in blue jeans, but I was in button-down shirts, no hat. I wasn't cussing or anything on stages. I was just still kind of half foot in corporate. And they brought me down. And right before my session goes on, the guy who flew me down comes up and he grabs me about the arm. Now, I'm a Marine, I don't want to just be grabbed forcefully. And so I'm sure I reacted, but he looked at me and goes, "Donnie, I need a favor." And I said, "Okay, Steve, what's the favor you need?" And he goes, "Please don't go full Donnie." And I said, "What does that even mean?" And he goes, "I'm afraid you're going to show me up on stage." Now, granted, I hadn't been a public speaker. I'm to this day, I'm not a keynote speaker. I'll go speak, right? But I'm going to be more interactive talking to the crowd versus a canned speech. And I looked at this guy and I said, "Dude, that's the dumbest thing you could have ever said to me right before I go on." And they're literally calling my name to come on, right? They're announcing me, crowd of 400. So I yank my arm out of his and I'm go running on stage. And I'd never done on this in my life. And I break through the curtains and I go, "Where the F are all my badasses at?" Right. And 95% of this crowd goes bananas, right? They're screaming and hollering. I'm acting a damn fool on stage. I'd never done that, right? I'm not the guy who jumps around the stage and stuff. At this moment, I was doing it. And there was a table in the far back left corner, and you could tell I destroyed them to their core. And you could tell because they didn't like the language that was coming out of my mouth. And I learned two very valuable lessons that time getting on stage. First lesson I learned was this was the first time I'd ever shown up as me anywhere in public, right? Second thing I learned is by speaking like I speak and talking like I talk and showing up like I show up, 95% of that room was into it. I didn't need those 5 people sitting at that table, that weren't into my message. So from that point on, that became the ball cap, the t-shirt wearing, the cussing, guy that I am now, because that's who I am at home. And then it was shortly after that that we started doing the Badass Business Summit, because even with that one success, it wasn't enough to be a tipping point to get on a whole bunch of other stages. So created my own stage to literally make it so I didn't have to fight on getting anybody else's. Funny
Yeah.
thing, having my own stage has allowed me to get on a lot of other stages.
I like that. And you speaking of like building your own stage, that's something that I talk to a lot of people about because they just want to get on the stages. They want to be known. And we've talked about this already as well, but it's like you don't have that following
Hmm.
for people to want to pay you to be on their stage, to even be on their stage. So it is all about networking. And the shortcut, if you will, to that is paying to be on people's
Yep.
stages so you can show. But even then, if you have to have video, you have to have pictures, you have to show that you've been doing that, speaking on that stage, or build your own stage, which you're still paying for either way. You get sponsors and stuff like that that we talked about, but really building that stage. So talk to us about that, because building a stage is difficult, but I do think that's really probably the fastest track because you get to learn all the intricacies of building a stage. Not to mention, because just like a podcast, you invite who you want onto your podcast. You now have the power and can invite anybody you want onto your stage. So, talk to us about how building your own stages actually exploded your speaking career.
Yeah. So, one, it gives you clout, because anybody who runs their own events knows how much work that goes into it. So there's almost a mutual understanding and respect. But two, once you are able to post and you kind of get social proof of hundreds of people's in a room, with you on stage, videos and footage, you get people tagging you on all the stuff. Now there's more and more people that are leaning in going, who the hell is this person? And why are so many people paying attention to them? Now you got to make sure everything else is somewhat aligned. So, one of the simplest things is I wonder if people own their own domain. Like, name's Donnie Boivin. I own DonnieBoivin.com. Right. And for most people, they Google their name and, there's somebody else shows up at their image. If you want to be a speaker, right, you've got to become a complete package, right? You've got to become, something that people actually want to get excited about. So, for me, it was, how do I get myself seen enough where people are like, I need him more than he needs me. Right.
Mm.
So I wanted to build that vehicle. So what I found is I stopped reaching to get out on the stages. And now, because I had my own, I would also find people that have their own stages. I'm like, hey, want to come speak at mine? And they're like, oh, well, yeah, you want to come speak at mine? Well, yes, I
Mm.
do. Right. And you kind of get this cool network effect back and forth because, you know, if you run your own events, once again, you know how hard it is, but you also know that you're going to market your butt off for somebody else who's putting on their event, because like Doug Mitchell, we talked about for like the last
Mm.
week leading up to his event, he brought me down to speak at his event. Every day I was putting a post out and I was telling as many people as I could, get down to Doug's event. Right. And Doug's doing the same for me right now as we're 2 weeks out from the Badass Business Summit as we record this. It's the same thing. When you get that network effect in place, people want to come in. And when you have a stage, everybody wants it. So now you got to go, okay, everybody wants it. Who is going to earn it? Who deserves it? Who are you going to be able to network deeper into their world with? Not always, who's going to deliver the best content, is what's going to make this a win for everybody involved. So,
I like it. I like it. And so, one last question for you here. So much great information. If there's only one piece of advice that you could give to somebody who's looking at starting their speaking career or take their speaking career to the next level, what would that advice be that you would give to them?
reach out to every successful person person they think is successful at getting on stages and ask them how they do it.
Mm.
One new thing you're going to find is people that are proactively speaking on a regular basis. There's two, maybe three styles of speakers. There's one that all they do is get paid to speak, right? And that's a rare bird that's got that model and system down. The second is the people who actually have a business behind they're speaking. So speaking is just like a front facing thing of it, but they actually have a different company behind the scenes. It's more my style and what I do. And then you have the people that have found success and people will just bring them to the stage. Right. And those are kind of the three big areas. You need to find a way to get in front of each one of those people and ask them how they did it. I love Alex Ramosi. He said, I built my empire before I even started social media. I think most people are trying to just, build social media before they build their empire. Figure out what your business is behind it all. And then go talk to the people that have done it and ask them how they do it. Or find a damn good speaking coach that can just teach you all the shortcuts.
Yeah,
those are the biggest thing.
always those options that pay for it. But yeah, I like that, going and asking for advice from people that have already done that. Such great advice, such amazing content here today. Everybody, you definitely need to go back and re-listen to this. There's so much that Donnie laid out for us to be able to understand that speaking journey, what that looks like, starting your own events and everything. But Donnie, if people want to follow you, they want to see more about what you've got going on, the events that you're doing, the networking that you're doing, where's the best place for them to follow you at?
Well, let's do this, guys. If you've hung out this long with us and you've gotten any value out of this episode, do me a favor. Take a screenshot wherever you're listening to this. Post it on social media. Tag me and Philip in it. If we see it, I'll come comment. I'll give it love. But by you sharing this episode out, or any of others, Philip's, other episodes out, it really lets them know this is the type of content you're looking for. This is the things you're trying to learn from, the type of people you want to learn from. And dude, it's like literally giving him a virtual hug. Trying to build your own audience is tough as damn hell, right? By you doing this, you'll help him grow the audience, reach more people, right? And he'll love you for it. So go share this episode out with somebody. If you want to get in touch with me, come find me on LinkedIn, Donnie Boivin. So DONNIE, B as in boy, OI, V as in Victor, IN as in NATO. On LinkedIn, if you want to visit one of our chapters, successchampionnetworking.com. If you want to check out one of our events, just go to badassbusinesssummit.com. We have all those. But, the biggest thing I want for you guys is to take action on something you learned from today, and then share this love out with other people so they can learn from it too. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Awesome. Love it, Donnie. Yeah, definitely. We need more virtual hugs out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But y'all make sure to go follow Donnie for sure.